sit down and watch TV. Familiar faces comfort me. Miss my...
What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Cartoons and Cereal. I am your host, as always, Joe. One day I'm gonna have a co-host or somebody sitting next to me, or I don't know. We'll bring somebody in on a call or something, maybe. Who knows? But as always, thank you for watching in advance. I will say that. If you guys haven't seen the thumbnail, read the title or description, yes, we are talking about one of, if not my favorite cartoon of all time, Static Shock. Static Shock is one of my personal goats. I'm not talking about anime, I'm not talking about all the other things now. I'm talking about Saturday morning cartoons, I'm talking about the cartoons we grew up watching in childhood. Static Shock for me is, if it's not number one, it is 1B. I said you guys, episode 1, Men in Black. I love Men in Black for tons of reasons. It's fun. You see some character development. It's extraterrestrial. It's great. I love Men in Black. You saw me go on and on about it. I love Static Shock for different reasons. I love Static Shock because you could relate to Static Shock, if not when you were younger watching it, but as you grew up in life and you got older, you were faced with a lot of the decisions that Virgil, and a lot of the situations that he was faced with. You grew up and you either went through them then, if you were a little older, or if you were younger like me, because he was in high school and I was probably all around 8, 9, 10. When you grew up, you faced those decisions that Virgil faced. It wasn't just all sunshine and roses. I'm this young kid trying to figure it out. I'm going out there. I'm, or playing with some girls. I'm trying to learn my powers. And nah, Static Shock was not that. There were some very dark episodes. There were some times that I really was like not crying, but like, damn, like that was deep. That would hurt. Like that episode was rough. A lot of it taught lessons, and it taught you a lot of things are going to happen in life, and you have to make a decision. And based on the decision, it can either come out really well for you or really bad for you. I mean, there's so many memorable moments about Static Shock. I mean, some of my favorite episodes were when he teamed up with Joker and Robin. Sorry, Batman and Robin. He did it with Batman and Robin. And he held his own. He actually kind of proved that, Dakota's good. They're in good hands. Static Shock is over there. We don't have to, worry so much. He proved that he wasn't just like this small town kid who just like, I gotta prove myself to the Batmans and the Supermans of the world and stuff like that. So that was cool to see. There's an episode where Superman came and saved him and Richie when they were on a field trip. That was cool to see him working with Superman. There was an episode where he went back in time. Actually, there's multiple episodes. One episode he went back in time and he worked with a superhero named Soul Power. Funnily enough, DC was trying to get Black Lightning to be that person that he worked with, but it actually ended up being the person who made him didn't approve of it. So they went with Soul Power. But Soul Power was awesome too. I mean, there was an episode, again, Static Shock, single father, growing up with kids, trying to be a single father, raising your kids. So that's something that's relatable for a lot of the dads out there. There was an episode where Static Shock actually went back and he ran into his mother, and his mother had passed from gang violence years ago. And he went back in time and tried to save her, but remember she was a paramedic, and she had the itch, and she threw out the big gang riots. She went back out there, even though he pleaded with her to stay safe and go home. She couldn't, and she ended up dying again. And it has to be traumatic, that's something that a lot of people can relate to, and that's why I loved it. It was so relatable. Not every episode was going to be amazing, fun time. There's going to be a lot of shows and a lot of episodes that they're going to speak to you for one reason or another. There's an episode he and his father actually ended up going to Africa, and he was not having it. He was so annoyed by it, and he went out and eventually they ran into Anansi the Spider, and Anansi the Spider ended up being a hero, and he took Static Shock in, and they started running around, and they actually ended up fighting a villain. His name was Osibo, I believe I'm pronouncing that right. And I later on found out that Osibo was actually voiced by Michael J. White. And I mean, who doesn't like Michael J? Come on, it's a cool dude. Spawn. It's so many different roles from him. I mean, what was the movie he was in? What was that? Not Bloodsport. What was that movie he was in? I don't know. I'm gonna get off topic. I mean, again, Michael J. White, cool guy. There's so many different relatable episodes. I mean, what was the other memorable episode? The episode I believe it was called Jimmy. And they tried to go hang out with Jimmy, and they tried to be friends with Jimmy. Jimmy was getting bullied throughout high school, and Jimmy ended up bringing a weapon around, and Jimmy ended up hurting actually Static's best friend Richie. He hit him in the leg, but it was just another thing it's a real thing. These things happen in real life. These aren't just made up events. Like, that happens in real life where you can go and you hear about bullying all the time, and it ends a couple different ways, but that happens. His biggest villain in Dakota was the guy Ebon. And they went to him multiple times trying to get him to join their gang and everything. And Static said, "Nah, I'm being tempted to join gangs. People coming up and going to pressure you in life. You have to make a decision." That's another thing. Like, there are so many things that happen in that show that are so relatable to life. It's so memorable, and a lot of people go through those things. So it was just it was so different for so many different reasons, and that really helped. I guess at least me as a child, when I grew up and I was faced with those same decisions as him, like, it helped me realize, like, it's not it's not what I want. It's not what I want. And it's funny because a lot of the way that those people were treated in the show, you read up in the news and everything, and this is how these people are really treated in real life. So it's not just people just making cartoons to make cartoons. These things really happen. To me, it's just an incredible show, and it spoke volumes to me in so many different ways, and so many different levels. I'm just thinking back. I mean, I loved his best friend Richie. He was around the Big Bang Gas when it happened, and he ended up getting powers down the line. I remember the episode where he went to Richie's house, and you knew Richie was well off, and he ended up going to Richie's house, and they come down to find out that Richie's father was racist, and just like, why are you hanging around Virgil? Like, again, things happen. Like, it was so crazy how influential, just how real that show was. These are all real life situations, and there were episodes of that show that it would come on, and it wouldn't even be like, you know, in the regular intro, you see the 7 a.m. alarm clock, wherever it was. He's reaching over, turning it off. He's late. He's hopping up, brush my teeth, slide down the railing, run out the door, throw on the costume, book to school. There were episodes that are called cold intros, where it would just go into the show. Once it was a cold intro, you knew it was going to be real. You knew something was going down. And when the episode even went off, it wouldn't play the outro music or anything. It would just be like, it would put up information. Like, if you know somebody who's struggling with X, Y, and Z, call this hotline. Don't be afraid to reach out. Don't be afraid to, call and talk about it. There are so many different things that are just like, you don't see too much in a lot of cartoons then and now. There are some shows, but like, it was so different. I remember the last two things I remember, because I'm just going down memory lane at this point. My mind is just triggering episode after episode, and I do love, there was an episode where they had all the NBA superstars came of the time. They all had super suits. That was awesome. There was an episode where he went into the future, actually, and he ended up working with Batman Beyond, like Batman, but Terry, and then they actually ran into him They just ran into Static Shock. In the future, it just goes by Static, and he was a monster. And it was only brief, but he was taking out whole gangs of people by himself. It was just seeing, you know, that Static working with himself in the future. Like that was awesome. It was that show was so influential. I mean, I have comics of him on my wall, whether the '90s ones or the later 2000s run. I have Static Shock comics all in my room. I wish there were figures, but because I collect all of them, but unfortunately there are not. There's only one, and I refuse to ever buy it because if you're a figure collector, you know it's the McFarlane one, and I'd rather buy the Funko Pop than buy the McFarlane one. The last one I remember was when he went and he ended up actually seeing who he thought was Green Lantern, John Stewart Green Lantern, another one of my favorite characters. He's back here, one of my shelves over here. But he at Green Lantern came to Dakota and started messing the city up, causing all this violence and crime, blah blah whatever. And Virgil was so pissed, like, yo, like I looked up to you, you were an idol to me and everything, like what are you doing? And come to find out it was Sinestro who, framed John Stewart. So John Stewart came and made everything right, and that was amazing because that's two of my favorite superheroes of all time in the same show, same cartoon, like at a crossover that I never thought I would ever see. That was incredible. Again, seeing him with like people like Anansi the Spider, and Anansi the Spider was big for me because growing up through elementary school, watching Anansi, or reading Anansi the Spider, reading his folklore books, his African folklore books about just he's the actual spider, but like reading the Anansi the Spider books and seeing him translate it into a superhero character on my favorite cartoon, like it was such a cultural influence for me in my life and my development as a kid growing up. I can't rave enough about that show. I wish it went longer. I wish it was more talked about and more just I wish it was up at a higher standard. And people, it's a cult classic. I want to say people talk about it. People love Static Shock, but I feel like it was so much better than it's even talked about. So again, I can rant and rave about it all day. I love the show, and I just wish there was. I wish there were more. I really wish there were more. But after I'm done with Men in Black, because I've been dragging my feet. I'm not dragging my feet. I'm not talking about. You guys see. Go check out the last video I put up. 5 Points Festival. I've been traveling around again. I'm not dragging my feet. Trying to get the school year done with work, and then I will be binging. Men in Black will be done soon. I found the website that has all the Static Shock episodes, so I'll be watching that. And shout out to you guys, because whether in the comments of my videos or just in my inbox, personal inboxes and stuff, you guys have been dropping a lot of other shows for me to watch. You guys have been telling me like, oh, check this show out, check that show out. Have you ever watched this? Have you watched that? And whether it's 90s, 80s, and even 70s, you guys have been giving me a lot of recommendations, so I really do appreciate that. I will be trying to check into as many of those shows as possible. Actually, I took a break from Men in Black like a week ago, and I put on an episode of Cops. And Cops are Crooks? I think it's Cops are Crooks. I think I put an episode of that on. It was interesting, so I'm checking that out. Cadillacs and Dinosaurs is up there on Tubi too. I had made like a list of like 30 cartoons up there. There's some Joes up there, and I'm gonna start checking a lot of these shows you guys have been talking about out. I want to go back and rewatch Street Sharks, and I want to go back and rewatch Spider-Man and X-Men. I'm gonna be busy, but I'm gonna have time to do it. I'm going to relax and I'm going to enjoy myself. Until then, guys, thank you for watching. Till next week. I don't know what next episode will be. I never do. Whatever hits me, I have fun with it. And let me know what your comments down below. Let me know what you think about Static Shock. Let me know what you think about just cartoons and cereal in general. Let me know some other shows that maybe I did not mention just now. Let me know what you guys watched in childhood. And until then, oh shit, I'm late. I gotta go. Bye.